gentleman that you see right there with me is the one and only Da'Sean Butler, former
What's going on?
West Virginia All-American, former Miami Heat forward, and current basketball degenerate. The thing I love about live streaming with Da'Sean, you know he's a hoops head because if you look in the background of that screen, you see the Iowa-Indiana game that I am currently watching myself.
Yeah.
So Da'Sean, how you doing, bro? You good?
I'm good, bro. Forgive me as if you start talking and I just start literally zoning off in the game, in the reflection behind my head. I'm just gonna be looking because I'm definitely gonna try to, keep score. But yeah, I'm good, bro. Just enjoying my free time. Hanging out with the kids today. Got a ton of wrestling video games in, so I'm WWE'd out basically.
There you go, man. There you go. All right, so this is the Beers and Ball live stream. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of basketball stuff to talk about. We're going to do a little bit of a little buy, sell, hold on some of the teams that I think are the most interesting teams in the country. But first and foremost, let's open those beers. Da'Sean, I got here. It's called the Hop Smack Double IPA from Topping Goliath Brewery. I love Topping Goliath. They have King Sue is normally the beer that I get from them. It's an IPA. It's a brewery from Iowa. In honor of my Hawkeyes that are going and playing right now. But the Hop Smack, it's a great dipper. It's a tall boy. You can't really complain about it. When the beer is as big as your head, Da'Sean, that's when you know it's going to be a good night. What do you got? What are you sipping on over there? I
might not be able to go too in depth like you just did, but this is something I picked up in my time in Germany. It's a Lef. It's a blonde ale, beautiful beer. One of my favorites, a Belgian ale. But one of my favorite beers that I've had overseas. I mean, I'm a big beer drinker now. I never was, but now I am. And
that's what happens when you play in Germany and when you play overseas. And
man,
you're gonna become a beer head.
Have you ever been to Belgium before?
I have not been to Belgium. I've been to the only places I've been to in Europe are London. I went to Spain for my honeymoon. Love Spain. And then last year we went to Italy for a vacation for 6 days.
Well, you should put Belgium on your bucket list.
It's on there. It's on there.
As far as winter cities and things like that. I mean, countries to visit. Brussels is an amazing area. They have this big bar with over 120 something different beers called Delirium in the heart of Brussels. It's an amazing place to say the least. Me and my wife have spent tons of evenings in there hanging out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Delirium. The Delirium's beers that they send over here, like Delirium Tremens,
exactly,
real good. If you like the Belgian blondes like the Left, then you should like the Delirium Tremens is really good. It won like a national beer of the year, international beer of the year.
International beer of the year.
It feels like that's a little bit overrated for me, but I don't know.
I promise you, it's not.
I'll stick with my dippers. I'll stick with my dippers right there. Hop Smack.
Listen, everybody, I introduced the beer. All my teammates. I'm the old guy that got on the team, and I'll introduce a couple young guys to some beers that like beer. They always end up falling in line with this and Duvel. They always fall in line, man.
I will tell you this though, Da'Sean. Now that you're done playing, you can't just sit there and sip on beer and then do nothing else the rest of the day.
I know.
You end up being like me, man. I got a good COVID 20. I gotta lose.
Yeah. I don't want to get into my number right now. It's disgusting.
I got to drop my COVID 19. All right. So the whole point of this is just like a stock watch thing, and I kind of wanted to bounce some teams off you and talk a little bit about some of these programs that are maybe the most contentious and the most questionable in the country. I promise we're not going to ask about West Virginia to all those fans that are going to be complaining about that, because I don't need Da'Sean to tell me that they're just they're just a couple made shots away from winning a national title.
Just a couple. We almost beat the best team in college, so I'm not worried about it. We'll be all right.
There you go. All right. So first and foremost, I want to start with Tennessee. I want to know if you're buying them, if you're selling them, if you're holding them. They are now 10-2 on the season. They are coming off of that just utter embarrassment at Florida on Tuesday night. Da'Sean, where do you stand on the Vols?
It's a tug right now, and it's not a buy. It's a tug between hold and sell. It's not even midway through the SEC. I'm not sold on them at the moment because of their offensive inconsistencies. Do I think they're a great defensive team, a great defensive team. Yes, like I loved what they do. They got a lot of the right pieces defensively to like make things happen, and it helps them score and it gets them easy baskets. But it's always going to come down to their offense winning them some games sooner or later. Like not everybody's going to be as bad offensively. They're one of those teams I look at as, like you said, there's Baylor, there's Gonzaga, and then maybe Michigan, and then everyone else, and everyone has their thing that they do really well. I can't see Tennessee's defense being so overwhelming that it stops Iowa. I can't see Tennessee's defense being so overwhelming that it jams up what Michigan does. So, like, do I think that they can go far in the tournament? Possibly, yes, depending on who the matchup is. But do I see them like stopping one of these teams unless they just have the god awful night offensively? No, I can't. So I'm gonna sell.
You're selling on them? All right. So I'm not ready to sell on them yet. I'm still gonna hold on to them because I think that if you look at the two horrible games that they've played, both of them have come in games where Jaden Springer was injured. Yes. He did not play against Florida. And he played 5 minutes before he sprained his ankle, which has been the thing that he re-aggravated. 5 minutes for the loss to Alabama, and he re-aggravated that injury at Vanderbilt before the Florida game. That's why he sat out. So it's just been the same injury both times. And he's like the one guy on this roster that can create something for somebody else, that can get in the lane and find somebody, that can get in the paint and make somebody else better and get somebody else an open look. So I think that part of the reason they've had these struggles offensively without him is because they don't have that, right? Like beyond him, it's basically a bunch of guys that they got to score in transition, they got to score off the offensive glass, or you got to get lucky with someone knocking down a tough jump shot, right? It's not like you're going to get a lot of easy shots without Jaden Springer there. So I think that I'm still holding on them, but I mean I'm definitely concerned, man. Like that, like the big thing, like the biggest thing, the most concerning thing about Florida. And like honestly, if like you hear kids in the background, both Da'Sean and I have young children, and I honestly don't even know whose it is anymore.
That's definitely me. That's my 4-year-old. He's back there yelling Paw Patrol or something like that. So.
Oh, there you go. Chase is on the case.
Exactly.
So look, the biggest thing is they got their asses kicked by Florida. Yeah. They got their asses kicked. And you can't, if you're Tennessee and like you're built on toughness, like you can't go out and get your asses kicked like that. Like just not like that. That was the concern for me. That's the big concern for me. And shout out to LMAO JK. That's a great YouTube name. I like that. And two, yes, I did watch the Memphis game. I bet on Wichita State. So I'm not necessarily that happy about it, but I also thought that Memphis was going to be like a top 20 team coming into the season. So it's nice to see them finally put it together after I called them out.
Is it really together though?
They finally made some shots. They scored more than 40 points in the game. So look,
small steps, baby steps. All
right, the other team in the SEC that we really need to talk about is Alabama. And Alabama coming off of one of the best shooting performances I think I've ever seen. They hit 23 threes in a win over LSU at home. John Petty has been on fire for the last 3 weeks.
The first 7 attempts. That's insane, bro. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like a young Rob Dauster in his prime.
Go. My God, go.
So they they've been unbelievable the last 6 weeks. You got to figure at some point like they're going to cool off, right? Like where do you stand on Alabama? Considering that they're like not really, that they're probably considered like about a borderline top 10 team at this point. Like, are you buying? Are you selling? Are you holding? Where are you on the Crimson Tide?
This is gonna sound. I'm always in between, obviously the first two, but I'm gonna have a hold on them until Bruner's back. Mainly because, just like you said, do we know how long this will last as far as like them just being on fire? No, we do not. Usually teams that like we talked about before in our pod episode before, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. So sooner or later, they're going to have a little hitch in their their giddy up. But the thing I think that makes them special is when Bruner is there, they become a bigger, more versatile team. For what's my guy's name? Not Petty. Blonde hair. Oh, he's killing me. Alex Reese.
Yeah, Alex Reese.
Alex Reese is a good step in. Like he plays his role. He's a hard worker. He's going to rebound. He's going to go defend. He's going to do what he needs to do. But he's not Bruner. He doesn't do the things that Bruner does. And you're not going to get the best Alabama if you can't have the floor space completely. 5 guys out, and also have the rebounding, and also have the things he can do in the versatility you can have defensively with Bruner being there. So, I mean, I got him on hold only until Bruner gets back, because I feel like when Bruner's there and Petty's there and Herb's there, like they're a great team. Like I can't knock them. So it's almost like it's a waste to hold. I would buy if Bruner was there healthy.
Yeah, so I think that it's probably a little bit late to buy on them. You know, at this point, like how much better can they actually get, right? Like I think we're just about at their ceiling. They're awesome. They're really, really good. But I think that we've kind of seen them almost capped out to a point, right? Like,
you think so?
Just how much better are they going to be than they are right now? And look, it's probably
we know what they're going to do. So,
and like I'm viewing them. I know that they're not ranked there, but I'm viewing them as like a top 6 or 7 team in the country personally. Like I think that's how good they are. They're 11th on KenPom. I don't know what they are on the AP poll, because I don't care about the AP poll. But it's to me, I think that like we're seeing them at their very best right now, and I think they're playing like a top 5, 6, 7 team in the country. But I think that's about what they are, especially if like Jordan Bruner is kind of is what he is. Yeah. All right. So another team that's kind of been struggling a little bit is Illinois. We have our questions about Illinois. We have our concerns about Illinois. We know they struggle in ball screens. We know they struggle with Ayo Dosunmu if he gets forced to the left. They lost a couple in a row, and they came back and they beat, I think it was Penn State this week. It looked really good doing so. So where do you stand on Illinois, Da'Sean? Are you buying, selling, or holding?
I'm holding. And I was a big buyer early on for Illinois. I just thought that their pace and, you know, what they have as far as like the uniqueness with Ayo and Coburn, and then obviously Georgie, and just like they have a good overall a well-rounded team, I thought, and they play so fast. I thought it would be difficult for other people to keep up, but I kind of felt like they I don't want to use the word satisfied, but I felt like they took their foot off the brake. I mean, they put their foot on the brakes a little bit and took their foot off the gas, and it gave other teams the opportunity to pick them apart. I mean, and you name the ball screen troubles, whether it be the guards getting caught in screens, or whether it be Kofi not being able to step up and contain the dribble or do anything in the ball screens. And obviously Ayo's I don't even know if that's a big deal with Ayo's right or left. I kind of think now it's like people are doing it and it just works, but I feel like this is more of like a defensive issue as opposed to an offensive thing. I mean, they do well when they keep people from scoring and they can run. If they can't stop anybody, they're going to score. And then now, like, their defense is going to be the thing that everyone's going to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they do better in open court as opposed to just set offense anyway. So you can't fix their set offense right now. Like, it is what it is. So I got them on hold until I see some form of, like, I hate to throw toughness around because I like Kofi Coburn is freaking tough. Like they're not gonna.
You're right. So Deion Thomas, leading scorer in the history of the Illinois basketball program. By the way, he hosts the Champagne on Ice podcast on the Field of 68 Media Network. By the way, if you're not listening, you should be subscribing to it. Deion's really, really good.
Subscribe.
And what he was saying today, he had on. I'm blanking on who it was. I can't remember who it was. But he had someone on today, and they were basically talking about what's going on with Illinois. And he said the biggest issue they have, it's a combination of a lack of leadership and a lack of just like mental toughness. It's not physical toughness.
Yeah,
it's mental toughness to be able to deal with it. And it's simple stuff like Adam Miller, like kind of going in and out of funks offensively, right? Like if you're mentally tough, you don't go through like as big of a drought when you're off. It's Andre Curbelo. making better decisions. Like, he's a lot of fun to watch. He can be a little bit turnover prone. He can make some mistakes. He can make some bad decisions. He can over dribble. Yeah. So I thought that was a really good point that Deion made, and then you just made the same thing. So I'm going to tend to agree. I'm actually going to sell on them. Oh. And the reason that I'm going to sell on them is that I was on them at the start of the season. I thought that they were a top 5 team. I told you this. Like, I bet on them to win the national title at 50-1 odds. Mm-hmm. I would, if I could, cash out that future, because it's like, I think they're at like 20-1 or maybe like 15-1 now. So if I could cash out that future and like double my money off of what I invested, it's something that I would do. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to do it, but I don't. I think, yeah, right. I think that they're a little bit too matchup dependent for me to be able to win a national title, and I thought that that's what they could be coming in. Like, I thought that it was Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova as the top 3, and then Illinois was right there. Like, Illinois I thought that they were probably going to end up winning the Big Ten. Like, that's who I would have bet on. And I don't think that they're there. So I'm gonna sell on them. That has more to do with what my expectations were at the start of the season for Illinois than what they are right now. So that's kind of where I am. All right, next up, another team that's struggling, Creighton. They lost on
two back-to-backs.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back. They blew a 13-point lead without Marcus Zagorowski at Butler. And then that was on Saturday. And I think on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, all the days blend together. Every single day is the same. So they lost to Providence at home with Zagorowski back. He played pretty well. They were down 17 in the first half. They ended up losing by 4. They cut it to 1 possession at the end of the game. They actually played pretty well for like the last 30 minutes or so. But where do you stand on Creighton? And one thing real quick, Arnie Reed said, would mental fortitude be a better word than toughness? And yes, I like that. Mental fortitude. That's a good way to put it. All right, go ahead. Da'Sean, Creighton.
Honestly, I'm still buying on Creighton. I don't have an issue with Creighton. The reason being is, one, the league they're in right now, they're going to be just fine. I mean, Villanova, in my eyes, will win the Big East, but Creighton is a really, really good team. They still have a really, really good player in Zagorowski. Granted, he's still getting back into what he was from last year, what he was last season. I mean, it is what it is. What is it? Surgery, correct?
Yeah, he underwent surgery for something on his knees.
Right, it's his knees.
And now it's like, I don't know if they're related, but it's a hamstring thing that he's dealing with now. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know if it's the same leg or not. I probably, that's the kind of thing I probably should know. But
but to my point, I just like their team. They are a very well-rounded team, like I said before. They play 6 guys, I'm going to say 20 minutes or more, and they keep 3, I would say maybe 3 sophomores or 2 sophomores and a freshman. Antoine Jones, and they keep guys like that. They get like 15 minutes out of them. They share the ball. They're tough as hell to play. And everybody's a weapon on the floor. Like, every last person that starts is a weapon, from Ballack to obviously Bishop, who I'm a fan of. I should be more of a fan of Denzel Lonnie. He's the absolute beast. But still, like, I like their team because of that well-roundedness, and because they're that dangerous. You can't just relax on 2 people on the floor like you can against certain teams. I don't want to just start dropping names on people.
You don't want to start slander in West Virginia.
I don't want to slander anybody. Leave my Mountaineers alone, Rob.
So I'm buying on them.
I'm buying with them.
Yeah, I'm buying on them. And the reason that I'm buying on them is that I think that they're just so dangerous. Like, Marcus Zagorowski is really, really, really good. They have a ton of shooters. They can score a ton of points. And I love I love how dangerous they are, and I love what their ceiling is. And I think right now, after coming off of back-to-back losses, like, it's the best time to buy them low.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, nobody thinks they're worse than they are right now, like at this very moment, right?
Exactly.
So why not hop on a bandwagon? Like, this is very much a team where if they get hot, they can go out and they can win 4 straight games. If Marcus Zagorowski gets it going, and Mitchell Ballack gets it going, and Damian Jefferson gets it going, and Denzel Mahoney's doing what he did at Butler. So I'm 100% with you. I'm buying I'm buying Creighton at this point. All right, next up we have the Kansas Jayhawks.
The Kansas Jayhawks. I am gonna go with a hold. I'm holding on Kansas. Yeah, I'm holding on Kansas. I just don't like the inconsistency I get from numerous guys on the team. It's not just like one guy. It's numerous individuals that are very inconsistent at times, that especially on a team that needs consistency offensively. Like there are times where Marcus Garrett is not going to be consistent. And then all of a sudden now they got to throw in Thompson, who they can't throw anymore because he's had surgery. So like there are times where Jalen is out there playing great. And then we're like, we have our pod and we're like, where's Jalen at? He's nowhere to be found. I thought that there was a nice little I watched the West Virginia game. I was bringing up West Virginia, of course. And I thought, all right, cool. Well, Garrett won't have to do most of the scoring because Brown and Jalen to score. But then these guys will disappear too. And it's just the last game before last, Dave McCormack was the leading scorer. Like it's okay for you to have a different leading scorer from time to time, but it also isn't, because then, especially with a team that's offensively inconsistent, because now when things go bad, you're going to start seeing people just start looking at each other, trying to figure out who's going to make a play or like who's going to settle everybody down. I mean, it's always you don't need one guy to do anything or two guys to do everything. It's always good to be balanced, but I don't think that even when I can look at Kansas and I think of like Creighton, like we just talked about, they don't have that kind of balance. So
who are you scared of on Kansas?
Honestly,
I mean, you've coached, you've played at the highest levels, Da'Sean. If you were game planning for Kansas right now, who are you scared of on that roster? Because for me, there's like it's no one.
Yeah, I can't even think. I honestly was gonna say Brown, but then no, not really. Like it's not. He's probably the only person I would be worried about on the team, because he doesn't. It's almost like as far as shooting, he doesn't really have a filter. Like he's gonna get a shot up. So it's not like I'm not saying he forces tons of shots, but it's just he's gonna shoot a shot regardless. It goes in, it doesn't. It's whatever the case may be. But he's not afraid to get his shot up. The rest of the guys can shoot, and then when things don't go well, they kind of tuck the tail a little bit. And then, or you start seeing like a ton of terrible shots get put up. Like you don't see many good shots. Guys start dribbling in the crowds and then shooting mid-range pull-ups and with two people around them. And then they're expecting Dave to go get the board, and David is averaging like 5 boards. So like they don't have a lot of things they do great at certain aspects. Like they don't have great rebounders. They don't have anybody that can actually just demand the ball and get the bucket. They don't have like a ton of great shooters. Can they make shots? Yeah, they're talented guys, but they just have it like things. They don't have a lot of things. So
yeah, no, I'm with you. I would sell personally. Like they're ranked 6th in the country right now. I think that they're like maybe the 4th or 5th best team in the Big 12, and I don't think that that's a hot take. And I know that's me saying it before all you Kansas fans before you get mad at Da'Sean.
Wow.
Like,
I said
me saying it. That's me saying it. And so
Bill Self's team. I can't quit on them too fast.
Yeah, and I trust me, I get it. And Bill Self is awesome, but like this team is just not put together the way that you would want it to put together, right? It does not have a point guard, which is a problem. They don't have a point guard. David McCormack is like, he can have good games, but I'll tell you this much: if I'm game planning for them, and I'm trying to build a way to beat Kansas, like I want David McCormack to go out there and try to score. Like I want them giving David McCormack 25 post-ups a game.
Not me, Dave. Not me. I don't want you getting 25 again.
That's just the.
I'm just joking. No. I know. If you have to pick a spot to go to, I mean, out of all the players in the court, I would go like just like any other team. You're gonna go to what you would assume will be the weakest part of their structure.
Yeah,
that's not their strongest. That's not their strongest aspect, playing out of the post at this moment.
Yeah, so, and look, like we all know that post touches are not the most efficient way to score, and I think it's also important to note that if you look at the starters, basically the top 6 guys that Kansas plays, David McCormick is the least efficient offensive weapon that they have according to KenPom's offensive ratings. So if you want to let him, and he gets the most. He gets the most usage. He has the highest possession rate, highest usage rate, high shot percentage. So if you want to let him get all of those touches, like by all means, go ahead.
You can play on my team, Dave. You can play on my team, Dave. Don't worry about it.
I mean, he's not a bad player, but like,
no, I'm just joking around with you.
Like, you don't like. I don't want him. If I'm coaching that team, like I want him to be a piece. I don't want him to be the centerpiece.
Exactly. That was the best way to put it.
Yep. All right. This next team is like it's my biggest buy right now. My absolute biggest buy. That's Florida State.
Really? Here we go.
My biggest buy right now. I think they're the most underrated and undervalued team in the country at this moment.
Why so? Talk to me.
Because everything is starting to click for Leonard Hamilton's team. Like we've discussed this. We discussed this on Sunday night, Da'Sean. Like the way that they play, the system that they play, the defense that they play, the interchangeable parts, how well coached they are, how well drilled they are, how well schooled they are. The fact that they have like multiple 6'7" and 6'8" guys that can play the point. They have guys that can make shots. Sardar Calhoun is really stepping up and playing well. Like I love the trajectory this team is on. I love Leonard Hamilton teams like unconditionally. I might do like a video just breaking down his defense because it's unbelievable, man. Like the communication that they have and the understanding that they have, like if you've never played, like I didn't play at a very high. I played D3 basketball, right? I played pretty good AAU basketball, and even I can sit there, like I know how much I don't know on a basketball court, but I can sit there and watch what they do and understand like how fucking difficult it is to get a team to be able to communicate like that, be connected like that. So I have the utmost respect for the job that Leonard Hamilton has done with that program, with that team, with that defense, and I just love them, man. Like when you play that hard and you're that interconnected and you're that good defensively, they're just so good. I love them, and they're not ranked. How are they not ranked? They're the best team in the ACC. I said it. I'm putting my flag in on Tallahassee Island.
What are we buying when I talk about Florida State? Exactly. When for example, like if I said if it's to be the best team in ACC, I am definitely buying in on that.
Yes.
I feel like they are at their worst. They can out tough most of the teams that they're going to play. And they'll outwork most of the teams they'll play. And they work very well together, the players do. They do a great job, like you just said, communicating on defense, working well with each other. Just they're a good team, a very well-coached team, very disciplined team. What I will say is outside of the ACC, and I look at other teams, I don't want to jab Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes is a great coach. It's more or less that I kind of see a little Tennessee in them. Like they can catch and shoot. They have guys that can catch and shoot, and some they even got a couple guys that can actually put the ball on the floor and make a play. But they still have hard time and hard stretches scoring. Like they shoot a lot of tough shots. They force a lot of tough shots, and because of that, I don't know. I got a hold on them when I compare them to the rest of the field. But like in the ACC, like they're better than everybody, and it's just it just makes me feel like that's what the ACC is this year. Is how I look at it, because this team can basically stick to a scouting report and rip out the other teams, like their whole purpose of their coach's scouting. I mean their coach's plans, and find a way to will themselves to win a game offensively and be better than most of the teams in ACC.
Yeah, the difference is they have like 3 or 4 just absolutely knockdown shooters. Like Anthony Pali is shooting 54% from 3.
That's
And NJ Walker is shooting like 43% from 3. And then And then they do have two guys. Like Scotty Barnes is the best passer on that team. And like he's been banged up. He's got an ankle injury. And Raekwon Gray is like he's good and he could do it, but you don't want him doing it the whole time.
Not the whole time.
And they're not their system defensively is what makes them good. Whereas someone like Tennessee has just elite defenders up and down their lineup, where Scotty Barnes can make some plays. He's not great in staying in front of people. He's not quite there positionally. And again, like a lot of the stuff that Florida State does, like forces them into mismatches, and they don't have a ton of guys that are great in those mismatch positions. Yeah. So they're not quite as good defensively as Tennessee. But like, I get what you're saying.
It's just more or less that I see a version of it in a sense. The exact same team, but I just see a version of it. Like when they played North Carolina last week, it was the same thing like you just mentioned. Ball screen, Garrison Brooks, he got a switch. They just waited. Da'Ron gets it, lobs it over the top. There's nothing they can do but foul. And you would have those like little instances, but then they figured out other ways through schemes, defensive schemes, and team defense, to muster out a win. So like they're a very unique defensive team.
Yeah, so I'm with you on all that. I'm with you on all of it. The big thing that I always come back to with Florida State, and someone like Tennessee, is that like if they're going up against Gonzaga, you're going to have to score 90 to beat Gonzaga.
Exactly.
You just have to. And I don't know if they can. And that doesn't mean they're not good, and doesn't mean they're not the best team in the ACC. It just means that scoring 90 is a hard thing to do. All right, let's move on from Florida State. I don't really want to talk about Iowa or Michigan. Like we've kind of beaten them to death at this point. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about Virginia, but we just talked about Virginia at length on the last podcast, and they haven't played since then. So I think that we could just send people back there. So there's three teams I have left on my list, and the first one that I want to start with is Villanova. Who just played on was it Monday night, whatever it was. I think it was Wednesday night, Tuesday night, whatever it was. It was some night this week. First game back in 27 days. They beat a good Seton Hall team.
Yes.
They probably should have lost to Seton Hall if Sandro Mamukelashvili could catch a pass that hit him right in the hands. That's the toughest place to catch a pass is when it hits you in the hands.
Of all people, I thought Sandro would catch the ball, bro.
Right? That dude's got baseball gloves for hands.
And he has great hands and great – I don't know, bro. I was shocked that he didn't catch
By the way, I haven't watched any of this Iowa-Indiana game, but I just looked at the TV and Luka Garza has a thing in his nose.
Yeah, somebody already got him.
And the least surprising thing in the history of college basketball is that Luka Garza has a bloody nose. That dude is somehow always injured. I fucking love Luka.
He's in the mix, bro. He's in the mix. He's there where they're throwing bows at, bro.
He's a horse, man. But yeah, Villanova. So they won a game that they probably should have lost. They did not play great. But they came out of 27 days off, and they had like 4 or 5 days before quarantine and beat a really good Seton Hall team. So are you buying Villanova? Are you selling Villanova? Are you holding Villanova?
I'm buying Villanova. I have to. Like you said, they came off a long break, obviously due to the pandemic, and they played a really good Seton Hall team. To me, I thought was like, they have good players on the team. Sandro, they have Shavar Reynolds, Jared Roden. Like, this is a good team, with the exception of getting their heads knocked off against Creighton. They won, they've pretty much been winning. So to see them come off of this break and beat this team, it was a plus. I mean, it's a plus in my book. Jeremiah Robinson Earl didn't have a great one, and Justin Moore didn't, but thank goodness you have seniors in the team. And Samuels and Gillespie came out there and they took care of everything. They picked up the slack for, Villanova's welcome back party. So that's the only thing that worried me. Honestly, the only thing that worried me was Jeremiah Robinson Earl coming back so sluggish. But then you said 27 days. I mean, who wouldn't? So I was just more or less like 3 for 12 and 1 rebound. I was like, the hell are you doing? And then he went 1 for 2, obviously missed the first one, but made the most of the free throw. So he didn't go up by 2. But it was just I can't imagine saying that he played anywhere near a quarter of his potential when he only had 1 rebound. Like
no, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And so first
38
thing you gotta
minutes.
do,
38
can you,
minutes.
can you put a toast up to Matthew Gibbs real quick? Matthew Gibbs in the chat. Cheers to you, brother.
Matt.
There you go. All right. So I'm with you on Villanova. I'm not buying all the Villanova, but I do want to expand the amount of Villanova that I have in my portfolio, if that makes sense. Because I feel like people have forgotten that this was a team that entered the season in the same conversation as Gonzaga and Baylor. And we never quite got to see them at full strength, even at the start of the year. Like, I don't know how many people know this, but like they were shut down for 2 weeks in September because of COVID positives and contact tracing and all that. So they didn't get the full, I think maybe it was October, whatever it was. Like they were shut down at a point, and they did not get the full preseason that you would necessarily expect them to get. And I am a little bit concerned about like their perimeter defense. And I do think that at a certain point, they are not quite as good as the Villanova teams of the past. But for my money, like they're as good and as balanced and as deep and as they have all Americans. Like they have everything that you would want out of a team to go out and win a national title. And I think that they should very much be in that conversation. Feels like people have forgotten about them. So yes, I'm going to be buying on Villanova.
All right. I feel like that's hard to do, man. You take a month off. You're still practicing though, but I mean, after a certain time,
they weren't practicing for that month though.
Like not the whole month. Yeah, actually, you're right. I remember you did bring that up in one of our pods.
They spent like, I think it was a total of, I don't know if I want to say a number in case I get it wrong, but it was more than 2 weeks that they spent in hotel rooms. Like it's not like they were out there even really just working out. Some of their guys, I believe, were, but for the most part, like they were in hotel rooms.
And then you got to play against a team that's been playing the entire time, which, like, they probably have
Jermaine Samuels was one of the guys that tested positive. Part of the reason they came off the bench was because like he wasn't able to get back. They started practicing the Thursday before a Tuesday game, right? And then Jermaine Samuels was not even allowed to practice in the Thursday group because he had tested positive. And then they came back. Jermaine had 20 and 9.
Exactly.
Here's my question, Da'Sean. And you're a hooper, so you know this. This. If you ever spend a whole bunch of time sitting out, and the first time you come back, like you're always just buckets that first time, right? And then afterwards, it's like you can't hit a shot again. But there's always like that first time after you don't play for like a week or 2 weeks or whatever, like you just can't miss that first time.
Well, right? I've been very fortunate to these terrible knees I have. I would be on teams and the coaches would say, all right, you know what? You're not practicing for 2 days before the game, and they would just let me not practice, and then I would go out there and play well, and they were like, all right, you know what? We'll just keep doing this. So I'm more of the
my
teammates hated me.
My knees hurt.
No.
My knees
actually, I was never the guy that initiated this. The coaches wanted to make sure that I was taken care of. Hey, I can't blame. Don't blame me because I play for great coaches. You know.
What did Hug say when you said, "Hey, my knees hurt. I can't practice today"?
He'll say, "I wake up hurt every morning. Get the fuck on the floor." And I have to tell him that's self-inflicted hurt.
Oh man. Oh,
exactly.
All right. So Wisconsin and Texas, we got 2 left. Let's do Wisconsin first. Are you buying, selling, or holding Wisconsin?
I am going to buy in Wisconsin. You're probably tired of hearing this. I'm a big Dimitri Trice fan. I
love him too.
I love him off of the ball screen and creating, and I feel like they put him in a great position. They put him in a great position to do that for their team. And then not to mention, they do a great job. But when he can't find anything, to get the ball in the Potter, get the ball in. It's not a race. Get the ball in the Potter, get the ball in the Reavers, and they quarterback it from the post as well. Most of their offense, I just like the way that they play. They have a system. They stick to it, and they're big. They rebound. They're tough as hell. It's like a very difficult mismatch, especially with 2 centers out there at the same time. Like it's just tough. It's tough to guard and to rebound against.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on Dimitri Trice. That dude's got huge Sam Cassell's. Makes big shots, takes big shots.
That's a hell of a comparison too. That's a good call.
Yeah, like he's I don't know if there's 10 players in the country that you want with the ball in his hands with like 10 seconds left on the clock, more than Dimitri Trice. Like he wants those shots, he takes those shots, he makes those shots. So got to credit for him for that. I am buying Wisconsin in the Big Ten. I'm selling Wisconsin. I'm selling Wisconsin nationally, and the reason I say that is because everybody in the Big Ten plays like it's 1985 still for the most part, right? Like all these teams have big guys. All these teams have post players, whether it's Kofi Coburn or Luka Garza or whoever, or Miles Johnson with Rutgers. Like everybody's got a big guy, right? So Wisconsin's able to match up with that. The problem is when you're Wisconsin and you go up against like a Baylor, right? And Baylor goes with their lineup where they have Mark Vidal at the 5 and Matthew Meyer at the 4. How are you guarding that? Because you can't have Nate Reavers and Micah Potter on the floor together because one of them is going to get played off the floor. And if you take one of them off the floor, then you have like one of your 3 best players sitting, which to me is a problem. You want your 5 best players on the floor as much as possible. You go up against Gonzaga, one of those guys has to chase Corey Kispert around at the 4. Like that's tough.
It's going to be tough.
So I'm buying Wisconsin in the Big Ten. I'm selling Wisconsin from a national perspective. But I mean, they're awesome, dude. Like it's Wisconsin. Like they're just a really, really good team.
Very good team.
All right, Texas. Coming off the loss to Texas Tech, I believe that was the last time that we saw them play. They were up by double digits in the first half. They ended up blowing the lead. And Mac McClung, who, by the way, was on the Demetrius and the Splash Fanta podcast on the Field of 68 Media Network just today. Which, by the way, like Day, you're gonna want to listen to this. It was Mac McClung is a character.
No, to say the least. Yeah, I've seen a ton of his stuff online. He's
all right. So I lied. They actually played on.
They played against Kansas State, right?
Yeah, they beat Kansas State. They beat their brains. And Kamaka Hepa came off the bench and had 15 points, hit 5 threes. Like he didn't really play all year. Shaka said this was going to be like his de facto redshirt year. He came out, hit first start, 15 points, 5 threes. Shout out to Kamaka Hepa. Like he legit might want to be one of my favorite players in the country. He is the craziest dude on the bench. I was texting with Shaka the other day, and I sent him like this video of Kamaka after a dunk, like sprinting. You know how they have like the 3 rows of seats on the bench? Yeah. And it's Kamaka sprinting from the back row after a dunk all the way to under the basket, flexing like in front of his teammates and then sprinting back. And I sent it to Shaka. I said, Shaka, how much do you love this guy? He said, the best spear I've ever seen in a player.
Hey, man.
Like, so I
think that's a hell of a cosign from anybody's coach.
Yeah. So like you got this dude who is like the walk-on deluxe celebrating like that, who comes out and starts and hits 5 threes.
Exactly. I know he was hyped.
With the man bun? He's got the man bun. I fucking love Kamaka Hepa.
Oh, man.
Plus, do you know his backstory?
Please.
He's from Barrow, Alaska. He is the first he's trying to be the first Inuit, which is you're not supposed to say Eskimo, it's a bad word, but he's an Inuit, and he is trying to be the first one to ever make the NBA. I don't know if it's going to happen, but there's been like 4 Native Alaskans before him. And I'm not talking about people from Alaska. I'm talking about like Native American from Alaska. And Barrow is the northernmost town in the United States. He grew up in the Arctic Circle.
How the hell did he find a hoop?
Like Barrow's got a good basketball team. Like it's crazy, dude. Like they had to take private flights to like Anchorage to play games during the season. They'll fly down and they'll play like 5 games in 5 days, and they'll fly back up to Barrow. Then they'll fly down again. Like summertime for them is like 30 degrees and snowy. Like the dude's got an unbelievable story. I wrote something about him a while back.
They found him in Texas.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking about, like we should definitely bring him on the podcast because I want to. You'll love this kid, Day. You'll love.
That'll be fun.
Anyway, Kamaka Hepa, Texas. Are you buying?
Sorry. Are you buying?
Maybe I gotta.
Yeah, it's got you. The second one's got you already.
Yeah, there you go. So what do you got? Are you buying or selling Texas?
I am. I'm going to have to buy on Texas. At the end of the day, when you have these individuals in this team that with that size, that athleticism, who can make jump shots, who can put the ball on the floor. They can just do so much that when they have bad games like they had like before the Kansas State game, like it just lets you know like the mistakes they have are highlighted. The bad shooting nights or turn the ball over. But these other games they're hard to match up with. They're mismatch problems all around the court. Like whether the guards are just unguardable, you can't help off of certain guys. Andrew Jones, you're not going to beat him on the glass. Like they're going to protect the rim, and they can get in the lanes because of that athleticism, and because they know they have that protection behind them. It's no big deal for them to take chances. It makes them that much more of a dangerous team. And I mean, they have a great coach on the sidelines who's seen every part of the NCAAs. I mean, like I don't know how I couldn't buy Texas personally. They just have everything that you would want on your team. It's just a matter of the inconsistency from time to time in certain parts of the game, whether it be a first half. They probably had 3 games where they put a full game together, and every other game is like a first half, bad second half, bad first half, okay second. Like they haven't put a full game together many times this season, which is why I like them more.
I'm holding on them. That's only because I've thought that they were a top 8 team in the country for like a month. So like if I'm buying on them, then I feel like I'm saying that they're in the same tier as Gonzaga and Baylor.
When I say I'm buying on them, I literally think that a team like this could possibly beat a Gonzaga.
Yeah, no, I think they could too, which is why I'm saying I think they're a top 5 to 8 team in the country. We both love them. I think the bottom line is we both love them. I'm on beer number 2. I just finished a tall boy that was 9%. Like I'm over here trying to get
stop bragging. Stop bragging.
We're over here trying to get some antics.
It's not a competition.
Yeah. So we both love Texas. All right. Listen, Da'Sean, it was fun, man. I think we should start doing this every Thursday night. Beers and Ball every Thursday night. I think that should be our time. 9 p.m. every Thursday. Beers and Ball every Thursday night. Maybe we could get Da'Sean Jr. on here. We could watch a little Paw Patrol. We'll bring my son down. We'll have them watch Paw Patrol. Maybe that's what we do next time. Is we'll do breakdowns of nothing but kid shows. Paw Patrol, number blocks, and story blocks. That's what we got to do.
I don't know if I got too many kids. I don't know if all my Da'Sean Juniors can fit on this screen with me.
He said I got too many kids. Da'Sean, it's been fun, man. Everybody that hung out with us, it's been fun. We will see you guys again on Sunday.